So, fairy tale scholar key back, and I'm going to keep on reading like the Energizer Bunny keeps going. And I'm literally on like page 330. And I've gotten through a lot, like Johnny Gloak and Coat O'Clay, Three Cows, The Blinded Giant and Scrapefoot, The Peddler of Swepham, The Old Witch, Three Wishes, The Buried Moon, and The Son of Adam. And honestly, Tattertots reminded me of Cinderella. That kind of makes me question, like, what's derived from the original of what? What's original? Okay, but the only difference between Tattertots and Cinderella is you have this bitter grandfather who hates his granddaughter because her birth is connected to the reason his daughter passed away. And again, I'm seeing the familiar structures, it's just told in different ways. And then the wee bannock. That was given gingerbread man. I don't know why it's called a wee bannock, but yeah. But all in all, the food is running away from everybody. And then Johnny Globe, basically somebody outsmarted some giants, like all the other stories, because obviously intelligence is going to get you further than being the strongest person in the room. Okay, and then Coda Clay, basically, if you were born a fool, you're going to die a fool. I kept wanting this man to get wise, but basically she was saying, like, the only way he's ever going to stop being foolish is when he dies. Like, what? And then the Three Cows had me realizing these old fairies and pixies were evil, brutal little things. Like, these are not the little fairies I grew up thinking. They were killing cows and causing problems, like butchering them. Anyway, okay, and then the Blinded Giant. That had me thinking about a Cyclops, Jack and the Beanstalk again. And that brings me back to originality, y'all. Did this story derive from the other? Is that the old motive that just continued to travel? And how many different cultures have a blinded giant story or a Cyclops? And then Scrapefoot is basically the three bears, except instead Goldilocks is a fox. Same feeling, familiar structure, different character. And then the Peddler of Swipham, I don't know. It was hard for me to read, but once I got it, the takeaway for me was this man, he traveled to London all because of a dream. And basically somebody told him that his treasure is already looking back for him from his own home. So I'm guessing like my takeaway is you don't always have to go somewhere else to realize what you already needed is at home. And then the Old Witch. That reminded me of Mafaro's beautiful daughters. Then the buried moon, it's extremely dark. They literally buried the moon under a rock and bog. I could literally see the story, the darkness, the moon being trapped under the rock. Then the son of Adam felt very biblical to me. Basically, you can't sit there blaming the beginning of people for their choices all day. Maybe if you were put in their same situation, you would have done the same thing. Thinking a lot of these stories haven't been read in a long time, just based on the page feeling. Maybe the stories have been forgotten, but the fingerprints are everywhere. And I'm going to leave a fossilic imprint for fairy tales for Black girls for generations to come. Stay tender and dangerous.